What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's reaction video is American cities versus European cities. What is the difference? We're going to give the UK's perspective.
Yep.
We have been to New York, so we can kind of give our thoughts on that.
Yeah.
We've been to a few European cities.
Yeah.
So we'll give our thoughts on that, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's summed up.
And hopefully you guys let us know in the comments your thoughts on it as well, because every city in America is going to be different.
Yeah.
Smash that like button, guys. Smash the subscribe button. What should we do?
Wait.
Not have a fantastic day, because I say that at the end. So let's get into the video. Yeah. Let's go.
The United States and Europe both have large urban populations and deep cultural ties.
Yep.
But their respective cities have some distinct differences. For starters, there is a significant age gap between European and American cities. When Europeans first arrived in the Americas in the late 15th and early 16th centuries, there were as many as 10 million natives living in what is today the United States. But the natives were not concentrated in large urban settlements like the civilizations in what is today Mexico and Central and South America. If there had been, you can only speculate on what would have happened to them. There are some exceptions, though. The oldest continuous settlements in the United States belong to natives and are located in the southwest United States. These settlements were founded around 1100 AD, but they generally have never hosted more than a few thousand people. The largest known native settlement in the United States hosted as many as 18,000 natives. This city, called Cahokia, was located in what is today the state of Illinois, and just minutes from the modern-day city of St. Louis. But Cahokia was abandoned by the year 1350. The 10 largest cities in the United States, on average, were settled around the early to mid-18th century, while Europe's 10 largest cities are hundreds and sometimes thousands of years older.
Yeah, it's definitely a history gap,
Europe's 10 largest cities by population are, on average, larger than American cities when counting the residents within city limits. Out of Europe's 10 largest cities by population, none have less than 2 million people.
Oh, wow.
But in the United States, 6 of its top 10 have less than 2 million people.
So spread out, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
European cities also have a higher population density. Out of Europe's 10 most populated cities, only 3 have a density of less than 10,000 people per square mile. St. Petersburg, Russia, Kiev, Ukraine, and Rome, Italy. The city with the highest density is Paris, with 53,000 people per square mile.
That's
nearly
a lot
twice
of people.
as many people as the United States' densest city, New York, with 28,000 people
New
per
York's
square
got
mile.
a lot of people. That's mad.
After New York City, it drops off pretty quickly. The second most populated city in the U.S., Los Angeles, has 8,500 people per square mile. Chicago, 12,000 people per square mile.
I want to see that bean.
Houston,
Yeah, I do.
3,500 people per square mile. And Phoenix, 3,100 people per square mile. The differences in European and U.S. cities' populations and densities are largely due to American suburbs. People are living outside of city limits and in homes instead of multi-story
And there's so many of them, isn't there?
These suburbs initially came about because of the train. They then exploded with the wider use of the car and cheap fuel that powered them. Land outside of American cities was also cheap, making homes affordable for the middle class. Chicago is often credited with inventing the suburb. After the fire of 1874, the city banned the construction of wood buildings. So speculators built cheap wooden homes as fast as they could just outside of Chicago for the 100,000 people that were just left homeless.
Oh, wow.
After World War II,
that's kind of like one of them, getting it in before the regs start, but then it's a good thing, because I didn't think about it as other people who have been left homeless. But I suppose if it's spread out enough, it's not really bad issues in the Woodhouse, is it? It's just when they're in a city and they're tight
together,
started guaranteeing loans that required 20% or less for a down payment and loan lengths as long as 30 years. Before this, it was common to have to make a 50% down payment with loan lengths as short as 5 to 10 years. These new loans increased the amount of people that could purchase a home.
It's like mortgages.
But these loans had more favorable terms for new construction compared to existing housing, since the government did not want to back a loan on a house that may have issues. This meant it was easier to get a new home in the suburbs than a property close to the city center, which was typically older. However, African Americans were often discriminated against when it came to these loans, so few were able to move to the suburbs.
Oh, that's a shame.
While mortgage discrimination has improved significantly, the discrimination that occurred from the 40s through the 60s contributed to generational poverty, and it has had a lasting impact on the geography of American cities. African Americans are still less likely to be living in the suburbs than whites, though the demographics are slowly changing. Today, more African Americans actually live in the suburbs at 39% than within city limits at 36%.
Okay.
The mass exodus in many of these cities, often referred to as white flight, led to severe urban decay. Residential buildings were abandoned, leading to local businesses shutting their doors due to less customers, which resulted in job losses, which led to poverty and crime, which led to more people leaving. This cycle continues in many cities today, while others have seen an urban revival in the last couple of decades, as many young professionals move back to the city. However, where wealthier people in the United States tend to live in the suburbs, in Europe, wealthier individuals are more likely to live in the city center. Take a look at this map of the London Underground, which shows the average income of the neighborhoods that use each stop.
That's mad, isn't it?
The highest incomes are at the center of the city, and the lowest incomes are at the farthest stops from the center. Speaking of public transportation, Europe's public transportation systems are usually thought of as superior to the United States, with a few exceptions like New York City. Because of the suburbs, U.S. cities are too spread out, and buses and trains can't stop at every block.
I would just love to have a house with a pool chilling like that, especially if the weather's good.
And those pools look so nice and blue.
They are very clean, aren't they? There's not actually a dirty
But
pool
then
inside,
they probably
is there?
live where it's kind of warm all the time.
I'm guessing so.
They're not like England where you can probably use your pool about 1 week out of the whole year. They probably get to use theirs for a good few months.
I was going to say, most of the year they use it.
Kept well, aren't they?
Definitely, and because so many people have got them, you'd think the weather's good.
Going up. If they did, it would run extremely slow. When it comes to roads, both the United States and Europe have extensive major road networks. But in the United States, large roads often run right through its cities instead of up to it. While this may make sense in trying to quickly travel from state to state or city to city, it is often criticized for splitting neighborhoods and disrupting local communities.
Okay. Yeah, I
Another
stopped,
thing
don't
that
they?
separates European and U.S. cities are the amount of skyscrapers.
Yeah,
United
US
States
is
cities generally
way
have
too
more
many,
skyscrapers.
but good.
Out of 50 cities in the world with the most skyscrapers, only 2 are in Europe. Moscow, Russia, with 57 skyscrapers, and Frankfurt, Germany, tied for 50th with 17. The United States has 11 cities in the top 50, with the most going to New York City with 287 skyscrapers. When European cities
has New York got some skyscrapers?
Just a couple,
Just
I
a
think.
few.
do
Only
have
been up about
skyscrapers,
5 of
they
them.
tend to have a section designated for them, away from their historic city center, like La Défense, a business district which is actually a few miles outside of Paris itself.
Okay.
The skyscraper was first born in the United States in the late 19th century, the first in Chicago and later
I
in
hate
New York
that picture.
City.
It makes me feel
Oh,
sick.
The
it's
United
mad, isn't
States
it?
took pride in their large structures, seeing them as a symbol of their prosperity and power. Europe, on the other hand, already had established historic buildings and public spaces that left little room for large new structures.
Right, that makes sense.
They were also resistant to what could be considered American. After the destruction of European cities in the Second World War, Europe had the chance to build whatever they wanted. They could redesign their cities around the car as American cities were starting to, and now had room to build skyscrapers. But Europe chose not to. Europe had an overwhelming desire to build their cities back to the way they were before the war and to preserve their unique cultures and way of life.
Okay.
The city of Brussels also played a role in the rest of Europe protecting its urban landscape. The city of Brussels had a laissez-faire approach to urban planning in the 1960s to the 1980s. Structures that were often generic and didn't fit in with Brussels' historic city landscape were put all over the city. The rest of Europe took notice and became concerned a similar randomness of structures could be placed all over their respective cities. Zoning laws that protected Europe's historic districts and structures were then passed across the
Oh,
continent.
wow. It's meant to have just actually
If you
learning
enjoyed
from
this
each other.
video, please subscribe for other
That was a bit of a
It was
different
interesting,
video. It was
actually.
interesting. I didn't expect it to be that bad.
That's not what I was expecting either, but it was good.
It was good. We learned a lot of little quaint facts and stuff like that. I learned a lot more about American cities as well, and I do love a good skyscraper.
Yeah.
I really do. Hopefully you guys do as well, because they are awesome. I think they're
Yeah.
very powerful. They just
They
feel
are.
powerful as well, don't they? Smash that like button if you enjoy, guys. Smash that subscribe button. You're absolute legends. And what should we do?
Have a fantastic day.
And we will see you, legends, in the next one. Peace.